fantastic tutor, and it promises to be an interesting one, as this happens to be the very first class we had on the course, STT205. All right, I was even hoping or thinking that the course has more calculation, not until I actually went through the material and I realized I think it's more of written. I think STT206 is the one that has more of a calculation. All right, with this being said, let's go straight into it. So we have STT205. Okay, let me see from my end if it's clear enough. Okay, just a moment. So I think it's too close. I think I should take this back a little bit. Yep. Okay, it's better now. All right, now let's proceed. Now the course is all about statistics. All right, it's all about statistics, and we're going to be dissecting a lot on the course statistics. Okay, now to start with, we're going to be talking about what statistic itself really means. Okay, what does statistics stand for? Okay, we're going to be talking about what statistics itself stands for, what is it all about, and statistics is one very important course you don't want to joke with, because in your 400 level, I think I need to reduce this backlight. It's reflecting on the board. Okay, now statistics is one course that if you can understand it well enough now, it will be very useful for you in your 400 level, because you'll be using a lot of statistical tool, all right, while writing your project or while conducting your research work. All right, so now when we say statistics, what are we talking about? Now statistics have varieties of definition, all right, but all this definition revolves around one thing, all right, and that we'll find out as this class commences. Now we have statistics. Now what is statistics? Statistics is said to be, all right, a management tool, right, for making decision. Okay, now let's take it in. Let's use some, all right, some form of chart flow. All right, statistics. Okay. Now, okay. Now, it's said to be what? A management tool. A management tool for making decision. All right? A management tool for making decision. All right? Statistics is also said to be what? A scientific approach to presentation of numeric information. All right, a scientific approach, all right, to presentation, all right, of what? Numerical information. Numerical info. All right, the scientific, when we say anything that has to do with scientific approach, it has to do with observing series of precepts. All right, observing series of processes. Okay, said to be a scientific approach to presentation of numeric information or numerical information. All right, we can also refer to statistics as presentation of facts. All right, when you are presenting facts numerically, all right, presentation of facts in a numeric form. Presentation of facts, all right, in a numeric form. All right, the presentation of facts in a numeric form. Now, let's take note of all these keywords. All right, we have making decision. All right, we have facts. Okay, we have numerics. All right, we have numerical, we have info. All right, now let's not forget, in our GST 103 we made a distinct differentiation, some distinctions between what we call information and facts. All right, a very quick one, a quick detour. All right, we made some illustration about facts, which is equals to data. All right, and we have info, which we use as communication. Now, what am I talking about here? Now, when you say facts and data, all right, they are unprocessed informations. All right, they are unprocessed. All right, the moment you process these facts, the moment you process this data, then it becomes information. All right, then this information now is now useful or is used in communication. All right, now let's come back to this. We have presentation of facts in a numerical form. All right, now this fact, they are referred to as data, raw data. Okay, we are still going to talk about how to get these data, the source of getting these data. We are going to talk about that, but now we need to understand that these facts are being presented raw, all right, in a numeric form or in a numerical form. Okay, and what we need this for basically is to what? To make decisions or to pass an information across. And why do you make decisions? All right, because you have something in mind to achieve. Why do you need to communicate? Because you have something in mind, an idea to pass. All right, so you can see how all these things revolve around and come together, and you see why it is important. All right, statistics is okay. Presenting of information is not just managerial, no. All right, it's not just limited to the decision of a manager or whatever it is. All right, you as a student, you need, all right, you put together facts. All right, you put together data. All right, like having all your TMA scores, all right, in a document, like having all your TMA scores in a file as to know what it is you have to work towards in achieving in your exam. All right, that file now, you're collecting raw data from your TMA portal. All right, you put everything together, you arrange it. It's what we call statistics. You are giving a statistics of what your scores, what your performance was in your TMA. All right, so statistics is beyond just, all right, management alone. It's a general thing that we use in day out. All right, so now let's proceed. So we have statistics is also said to be what? A scientific method which is used to what? Collect. Okay, let me erase this. Okay, we have scientific method. All right, and this method is used to what? Is used to collect. All right, is used to collect, summarize, all right, classify. Okay, is used to analyze, and present. Okay, after you collect data, after you collect facts, all right, then you begin to put them into good use by summarizing them, putting them all together. Then you begin to classify. This is this and that is that. Then after you classify, it helps you to analyze. And the bottom line is for you to present, all right, to present information, all right, in such a way that is understandable. All right, it is why do you have to present it? It's just done to what? Comprehension, for comprehension's sake. All right, so we have that as that. Now let's proceed. Now, basically, statistics is concerned with nothing less than what? Numerical data. All right, everything that has to do with numerical data concern with numerical data. All right, everything that has to do with numerics. All right, then you can include statistics. All right, the presentation of numerical data, then you can go employ statistics. Okay, now we have that as that. Now, example of such numerical data are, we have height and weight of pupils in a primary school when evaluating the nutritional well-being of these pupils. All right, just like I said earlier on, and it's when you are collecting data from the TME portal in order to know what your TME strength is like, what your assessment strength is like, in order for you to prepare for your forthcoming exam. All right, you know, at this level, what you do is a computer-based exam, and you have your TME there to assist, to cushion, all right, to support, all right, to encourage, to move you forward when it comes to grading. And you have your exam at 70% as your TME is just about 30%, and all this put together will get you through a semester, all right? So we have collecting your data from the TME portal in arranged in the proper file for you to know what your strength is like, is also referred to as statistical work. Now let's look at the rules of statistics. Now we have the rules of statistics. Let me erase this. Now we have the rules of statistics. Okay, so we have one of the roles statistics play is what? Analyze stock level. All right, analyzing of stock level. Analyze stock level. All right, it's one important thing it does. The minimization of malformations and recorded level, all about records. All right, we have economic aggregate. When we say economic aggregate, now we're talking about macroeconomics that has to do with government activity. All right, we have economic aggregate. We have the likes of national. We have the likes of national income, savings, consumption, national product, GDP. All this GDP, even our budget itself is still using of statistics. All right, analyzing how our budget is going to be, how allocations are going to be shared. All these things are use of statistics. So far, it has numerics and how it communicates numbers, right? Communication of numbers meaningfully, all right, to people, all right. So we have GDP, we have savings, national income, savings, and we have national income. Okay, so we have government use census, all right. Census or census, call it census. All right, so we have that as that. All right, so now let's talk about the basic concept in statistics. All right, what are the basic concept in statistics? All right, we have what we call entity. Now, when we say entity in statistics, what are we talking about? All right, entity may be person, place, all right, and thing, which what make observation. All right, point of observation. All right, and this may be a person, all right, a place. All right, the point of observation. Okay, we have variable. All right, variable is said to be what? assumption from different values. All right. Assumptions, all right, of different values. Okay, assumptions of different values. Okay, so we have that is that. Now we also have something called random variable, which is more of probability. Random variable, right? Probability. Okay, possible guesses. Okay, so we have quantitative variables. Quantitative, from the name, can be quantifiable. Variables that can be quantifiable. All right, variables whose values are given as numerical quantities. Variables with numerical variables with values of numerical quantities. All right, we have qualitative. Here it's opposite of this. All right, no numeric or numerical qualities. Right, qualitative is the opposite of quantitative. Okay, so we have that is that. Now we have discrete variables. Now discrete variables are variables that can assume, all right, whole numbers. All right, variables that can only assume whole numbers. Assume whole numbers. All right, I can only assume whole numbers. All right, so we have examples of numbers of female students in the whole, all right, female students in the various programs in the National Open University. All right, we have a whole number, all right, for such variables. All right, so we have that is that. Now let's proceed. Now, in between this discrete variable, there's something called interruptions. All right, interruptions. Interruptions. Okay. Now, in between discrete variable, all right, interruption comes. All right, interruptions between values, all right, that are assumed. All right, interruption between values that are assumed. Now, let's take an example of this. All right, we have between 2 and 3. All right, there are infinite number values. All right, we have infinite number variable. All right, infinite number values. All right, infinite number values. Now between these 2 and 3 we have 2.1, all right, 2.11, all right, 2.1111, all right, and it goes on and on and on. All right, you still have 2.1111, all right, we have 2.1111, infinite. All right, so we have that is the interruptions. Okay, now let's proceed. we have continuous variables. All right, these variables that can assume both decimal and non-decimal. All right, continuous assumes both decimal and non-decimal. When we say decimal, we have 2.1. Non-decimal is just 2. All right, so we have that as that. Now let's proceed. We have population. All right, when we say population, what are we talking about? All right, the concept population. All right, this is said to be the largest number of entity in the study. The largest number of entity in a study. All right, the largest number of entity in a study is said to be called population. All right, now in the study of how workers in Nigeria spend their leisure hours, the number of workers in Nigeria constitutes the population of the study. Now let's say, okay, how many students, all right, how many students did above, let's say averagely, how many students in national university did above average, all right, in the year 2016. So now the population now will be total number of enrolled students, all right, in 20, I think I said 2010, right? 2010, right? So from this population now, they will now remove, all right, will now begin to dissect, right, what set of people did averagely well, what set of people did totally well, and what set of people did outstanding, what set of people did below average. All right, so we have population as the largest entity in a study. Okay, so we have sample. Okay, sample is said to be part of population. All these things we'll still get to know properly. We're just being introduced all this now. All right, we have sample. All right, this is the part of population that is what? Now the selected, all right, part of population, all right, for study. All right, just like what I said earlier on, total number of people that did average, the students that did averagely, right? That's the general thing, right? So now, if you now say, okay, this average, now we can say that this average, that we're even saying, is the sample that I want to be particular about, right? It is the sample of the population we want to be concentrated on. So that's said to be selected part of the population. It's called that sample. All right? What we are deliberate, what we are intentional about observing. Okay? So we have random sample. All right? It's said to be a what? Sample drawn from a population in such a way that the results, all right, of its analysis may be used to generalize about the population from which it was drawn. All right? When we say random, we're still talking about probability. All right? Random sample. All right? Possible guesses. All right? For the population. Still probability. So we have that as that. Now let's please say thing 2 about sources of data. All right, sources of, all right, collecting data. There's something called sources of data, primary. Okay, primary. Now let's talk about data. All right. Now let's consider primary data. When we say primary data, what are we talking about? All right. Primary data are data that are what? Collected by or on behalf of the person or people who are going to what? Make use of this data. All right. Now, it is the data collected specifically for a purpose and used for the purpose for which they are collected, from the word primary. All right, data collected by, all right, for a purpose, all right, and used specifically, all right, for the purpose, all right, it's being collected. Okay. Also, it's said to be the data that is also collected by on behalf of the person who is going to use the data. Okay, please use the data. So we have secondary data. Here we say, now this is the data that is used by or people, by a person or people other than the people or person by whom or for whom the data was collected. All right, now in this case, data was collected for or by or for the person who needs to use it. But here, data is collected not for the person but for other persons to use. All right, and that's why we have it as secondary. All right, the person collecting the data is not using it for himself, or the person collecting the data is not collecting it for the purpose of giving it or for the purpose of using it or giving it to the person that requested for it, but is collecting it for the purpose of others using it. All right, now we have that as that. This data is collected for the purpose of some other use. All right, it's collected for the purpose of some other use. Okay, so we have that is that. So we are going to just have that as that. So now let's take example. All right, we have example of this of the primary. We have height and weight of students collected to determine, all right, height and weight of students. All right, now we can say let's draw an example from what we use in our school, all right, in Open University. All right, we can say the data collected by the institution, all right, data like, all right, let's make reference to, when we want to do our exam clearance, we are expected to get some data, some documents. We are expected to come with some documents. Now, can we refer to these documents as the primary data? All right, because these documents are used to validate, all right, if you are actually a member of the school, student of the school, or it's actually you in person that has come to request for clearance. All right, for exam clearance. All right, so now let's take an example of secondary data. We have informations like accident facilities on a particular road over a period of time collected from the police, all right, or road safety corps. Okay, so now let's draw an example. Let's draw an example from what we know very well. Now, can we call this secondary data? All right, now information collected. All right, now yes, when you are done with your exam, all right, no, you are okay. Now let me use the example of pen on paper. Majority of us might not know this actually, but pen and paper, when you are done with writing your exam, you need to go to the front where you have your mitigators. Then you submit your script and they will check your face with what they have on the system. And those people collecting it, they are not the ones using it, but they are collecting it on behalf of people who are checking it from the back end. right, to ensure that there are no multiple or duplicates of identity. All right, so that's one example. We also have, all right, so we have that as that. So I think on this note, we'll stop here for today's class, and we will proceed from just where we stopped in today's class in subsequent class. Thank you very much, everyone, and I look forward to seeing us all in subsequent tutorial. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye. Evening.